Now you switch pod. The boys are
Yes,
back.
sir. Yes, sir.
How are you,
Mm,
Chris?
mm. Quarters. Still drying my tears. But yeah, I'm good. How you doing, bro?
Good myself, good myself. The Dan Carters of podcasting. Here to give you our rugby opinions, our takes, and feel free to share yours in the
hmm
comment section. Our church announcements. Obviously, you can find us here, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the
Yeah.
socials. And yeah, let's get the numbers up. We're almost on 500 subscribers. And I think let's start with news as we do.
hmm
Klekani, officially a Lion.
Officially.
Uh, Officially, although we don't know whether he's cleared for the Currie Cup or this is when his Sharks contract expires at the end of the Currie Cup.
Yeah, there's still to be seen. It'd be good to see him now in Currie Cup. I
Yeah,
think you want to see a player like that playing, and it would be unfortunate if maybe contractual issues, but hopefully he plays. But like we said last week, hey, some astute piece of business there, Coders. So
yeah, very very good business, and we've seen. I mean, we've
yeah,
seen this the opposite way around, where players have been going to the Sharks and the Lions have
yeah,
refused to release them, like Hendrickson just last season. Well,
mm,
the season before, sorry. And so it's not something that's unfamiliar, but what's unfamiliar is now in the other direction.
yeah, yeah. But hey, for the player's sake, you just hope, that
Yeah.
it's all good, man. Let the boy play. Let the boy play.
Yeah, and we can't, he's can't have him getting beaten what 65-0 every week, We need him on a
Wait,
winning team. We
Coders.
need him
Wait, Coders. Wait, Coders.
we need to
Hey,
protect as a nation, we need to protect the young
oh,
man. We need to get him over to
yeah,
Johannesburg as soon as
you know.
possible.
But I agree with you. You need to protect the kids, man. You need to protect the need to
In
protect the
other
youngsters, man.
news, yeah, in other news, Box are back next week.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna spring it on you here. Who are you? Who do you think we're likely to see? Razi
Oh,
says things about there's no number one fly half, but obviously there has to be a number one fly half.
yeah.
So
Hey, look,
positions like that, or are you expecting a rotated team? What are you expecting in general?
I think there will be surprises for sure. I mean, he said you've read some newspaper articles where says that there's still more innovation. There's still more
Yeah.
that's coming. So it's difficult to sort of I mean, all it is now is just pure speculation.
Mm.
It's based on okay who you think based on what you've seen. You know, in my opinion, it's you're still going to see the core of the main guys.
Yeah.
Not the sort of yeah. You'll see the core of the main guys, maybe with the mix of the second sort of string main guys, and then more youngsters. I think
Mm.
if I can put it like that, because you
Yeah.
just don't know who it's going to be because you've got all of that across the forwards and the backs. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
going to be
I agree with
a
you.
mix.
Yeah, I agree with you in that sense that I'm sure we'll see an Esterhazen and Moody together. I'm sure we'll see an
Mm,
Edwell at some point.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
they'll mix in there. Forwards, I'm not too sure there. I think they'll more stick to the main guys there, and I think they'll experiment more within the backline.
Yeah, I think we'll see in the forwards as well. I think we'll see in the forwards as well. I really think so. You don't be surprised if you see who's it that Manus van der Merwe or Boan Venter,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
So I'm thinking that in that aspect. So yeah. Or even Slegani just all of a sudden. You know what I mean? I'm just putting it out there, but you know. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting next week to see the 23 puts out.
Yeah, let's move on to the Currie Cup, and let's start
Gosh,
in
gotta
Pretoria.
protect the
Eh?
kids, man. Got to protect the kids, man. That's what I'm saying.
And they were kids. I mean, there were
Yeah.
7 debutants listed like on the team sheet there. The Bulls, on the other hand, they had Van der Vault coming back in. Buta moved to 15,
Mm.
and from early, it was
Yeah.
just a domination, and was coming from set piece, primarily the mall. And then
Yes.
the thing that surprised me the most was they were very boring against Province.
Mm.
And I was just thinking, like, this is going to be a long Currie Cup for me to watch this team because it was not entertaining. It was very boring. And that's not the kind of rugby that I like. Maybe you,
Mm.
other people, they like that kind of thing. That's not for me. That's why I don't
Yeah,
support the
yeah,
Bulls.
yeah. No, I
So,
mean,
and I mean, maybe it has to do with the weather and how it was there. The pitch wasn't great in Cape Town.
yes.
But in this game, the main difference for me was that they got the backline going and they did show some
Yeah,
flair and they did
yeah,
show some excitement and they did
yeah.
show some entertainment. And it wasn't just, they had that element of the mall and
Try after try,
domination in there. But when it came to,
try
you
after
saw
try,
the cross kicks, you saw
mm.
the, all those
Try
kinds of
after
things.
try after try. That's all. That's all it was. It was just,
Yeah,
and like you say, the set piece dominance, yes, possession, but not only that, it's what they did with it. The
yeah,
execution. You saw the Bulls look sharp. They looked sharper than what they did last week. Though last week for me they did look sharp. In terms of they were better than Western Province. Bringing the physicality. And like you said, it was just a matter of they were out muscling them and Province didn't get a look in. And this weekend it was that which is their bread and butter, and then like you say, it allowed them to play like that,
yeah,
because it was dominance from the word go. It
yeah.
was a possession really. It almost
You
looked
speak
like in the
about,
beginning the
sorry,
shadow.
you spoke about possession. On the one of the stats that they brought up was 69% possession and
Oh,
72% territory.
courage. Mm,
So what
mm,
does that mean? You've got the ball most of the time and you're in their half most of the
yeah,
time. And when we're talking
yeah.
most of the time, we're now talking around the 70% mark.
Mm,
You have the ball
mm.
70% of the time. You're in their half,
Of the
deep in their
time,
half, 70% of the time.
percent of the time.
You know,
It's
how can you play against that? And when you look at it,
yeah.
the thing that was stood out the most for me was the pace in which they were cleaning the ball, and the ball was
Yes,
available for the scrum off to
yes.
just do whatever he wanted to do. Berger was just having fun in the end.
And
Yeah,
it was also
and
the gain line
yeah,
because they were getting so much gain line, you know?
yeah, and for me, like then you look at players like Rudolph and Knaba, they were just having fun from there, especially Rudolph.
Yo,
Rudolph looks
that
like
was a
Rudolph is one
bonding
of those
session.
players. That guy
That
was
was a
having
bonding
fun.
session for those
Yeah,
guys. They were just like, this is what we do. I even saw there's a point where I think it was like later on in the game where Baba got a turnover and Rudolph was gassed for him, and you can see giving each other dabs. And I was just like, these guys are just, yeah, it's like taking candy from a kid, man. And that's what it was,
yeah,
really. And all the Bulls needed to do was the basics, and then also show that they can hit you from deep, and when they get it right, under pressure, because the Sharks defense was nowhere. The guys are just shooting up. And when you shoot up,
yeah,
the problems were being solved. You spoke about it, about what the Lions did
yeah,
as well. It's the same thing, yeah, it's disappointing because the Sharks had no game line at all. There's nobody that, there's maybe a few moments here and there, but there's nothing. It's and the thing is, you'd expect guys like Cornell. There's not enough of those type of guys that have
yeah,
played URC that are sort of stepping it up and leading the way, leading the charge. You
yeah,
see, they're trying, but it's not there. And yeah, with guys that are maybe on the fringes of the box and maybe not getting game time, you can probably see when guys are going to let go that you'll need that. If you want to give these guys experience, give them good experience, because
yeah.
right
This was a
now
bad
they're turning,
experience.
Yeah, because right now, even in those situations, they're turning to each other. They don't even know how to
Yeah.
solve this problem. There's not maybe uh, I struggle to think of somebody, but let's just say because he's on standby for the box, for example. There's not an arm there just to calm things
Yeah,
down
you're
in the
right.
backs, and you know what I mean. For example, so I think in that sense they're getting it wrong.
Yes.
Because hey, it just doesn't. It's not looking good at all. Yes,
Yeah.
you can. Yes, understand the bigger picture but yeah, it's tough. It's really tough, and you're gonna break these people.
Yeah, you're right in that personally, I feel that the Bulls team could win URC games. Whereas
Mm,
you look at the Sharks team and they
mm,
can't even compete on this level. You talk
yeah,
about seven brand new guys coming in
mm,
and they just don't have the steel, they don't have the muscle, they can't disrupt
yeah,
breakdowns. Mavesere, unfortunately, I don't know if it's because he's by himself or but he was ineffective.
yes.
And it's
He
unfortunate
had
because
those
again,
moments here and there, but
but
largely
again, it's
ineffective.
because he's one of those guys. You're talking about an there's him, there's Raul, and there's kind of like no one else.
Mm. David's because he's played URC, and you'd have thought,
And
for
David's
him,
had his. I mean, that was the best moment of the game was David's holding up Rudolph.
yeah,
I mean, from
but
their perspective,
yeah, but I'm just saying, like in terms of just general play from him as well, you'd think,
yeah,
this is an opportunity, you think of that the kicking contest against Munster where he was, if you know what I mean, from a confidence
yeah,
perspective, and being in the position as vice captain, I think to take and to lead the way and give that direction, and it's just you can see they don't believe that they can physically dominate, because you just going backwards, kick, chase on,
yeah,
and praying that it works out. On broken play, yes, you get that momentum, but then once now they stop you and you're stuck, you kick the ball away. There's nothing really, but yeah,
yeah.
it's got to
Again,
protect the kids, man.
for me, I'll say again, John Smith. I don't see it, and
Yeah.
again, for me, it's like where to from here? Unless you're
Mm.
gonna start bringing in more senior guys, you just feel like the same thing is gonna happen over and over. And I guess the best test for them will be against Western Province because it kind of looks like they have the same strength of squad.
Yeah, but even then, I think with the Western Province, I think in their game they did a bit better than what they did last week.
Yeah, there is
Against the
improvement.
Lions. From a pack perspective, it's just you can see that the Lions are more comfortable. But
Yeah.
yeah, with the Sharks, it's hard to see, and we're not saying that these guys they're doing it on purpose or whatever. It's just that it's overwhelming for the kids, to just because now you're coming in against seasoned pros, man,
Yeah.
seasoned jets that you saw guys getting manhandled there, the physicality out there, in the
Yeah, Marvin
tackles
Ori was playing. That's
is
a World
not,
Cup winner.
so yeah, exactly. In the lineouts, that's why the pressure that was there, Ori, Manjezi there, that experience, just pressure all around, typical Bulls, and typical, yes, from that aspect, physical, and set piece, but then now showing the flair, and the energy. That's one thing that intensity that the Bulls played with throughout
Yeah.
the whole game. That's something to take note of, and they're looking the sharpest right now.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if the final isn't Lions and Bulls. We can move on to Lions versus Western Province, but I'm calling it now to say that I'll be very
Lions Bulls,
surprised
man.
if it isn't. I'll be surprised because it this game Lions versus Western Province it mirrored the same kind of thing as the Sharks game in terms of the Lions
Yeah,
had quicker ball, they were getting those cleans, their set piece was functioning at a higher level, and
yeah,
then where they come with the entertainment level and the flair and the playmaking is on a higher level than what the Bulls do.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, look, Western Province initially they had a good start. They looked threatening. Damien Marcus, I think he looked threatening. You thought that it was going to be more
Yeah,
of a tighter affair, you know. But then once the Lions just again, like last week, settled into their game, it just looked too easy. I mean, you saw Dobela's try, like I mean, like whoa, yeah, fine. He slipped, the fullback slipped, but still, it was just too easy, man. To
yeah,
for him to even get into that gap in the first place. Yeah, it is just the Lions doing what they do as well. Again, they brought that set piece, like you say, and then they're studying the tempo and the breakdowns. I think that's really as well where the province couldn't manage or get into Lions ball, and it is just you give them
yeah.
that momentum. They're gonna hurt you. Hey, and they did, eh?
Yeah, for the Lions, it's, again, you talk about experienced players. There's Rabs, Dobela at this level. I know he's new to the Lions, but at this level, Currie Cup level,
Yeah.
been there, done that. The Ras, the Yonkers,
Mm.
there's guys that have some serious minutes here. So there is that kind of, you're looking at Western Province, it's kind of like some of these guys are no name brands.
Yeah.
You barely know them. They're coming up from Varsity Cup. They're coming up from where? From club rugby. It's, but like you said, they did well to stay in touch. They weren't
Mm.
close, but they were still, within reach. And they
Yes.
did have their moments, the clever breakaway maul tries and things of the likes. But it's going to be a tough campaign for them. I think also we'll see their level when they play against maybe one of the smaller unions, and we'll see, or they play against the Sharks with all those
The
youngsters.
Sharks, yeah. I think they'll get better, because they did improve from last week for me. And
Yeah,
I think their problem is sustaining, their attack, and then also just defensively, just they're getting cut up too easily. Yeah, but I think they'll get better, definitely. They better on a better place than what the Sharks are for sure, you know. But then, yeah, the Lions, yes, the province stayed in touch, but I think again, them at home, we
yeah,
always know the Lions at home. It really does take, a top tier performance to beat the Lions at home, and
yeah,
you see guys like Russ showing that, okay, yes, back end of URC was starting to find, and look good, and he's just growing into it, is looking, more settled, especially after being well, not having played at the top level for so long, if you can put it like
yeah.
that, you know.
You're right, because a lot of these guys, you're finding, I mean, even with Lombard, he's a different situation in that injuries have made it more stop-start for him.
Yes,
But you can see he's at that mid ground between, he's kind of better than this level, but at URC he can do stuff, but it's inconsistent or it's stop-start by injury.
yeah,
So they've kind of
yeah,
got a lot of players that are in that middle ground to say that they're too good for here, but the next level they're kind of like inconsistent or they're not regularly playing there.
yeah. And but I think though it's an opportunity for them to sort of push and get to be better, because all of a sudden the Lions, they're also looking like they've got a bit of depth in different positions,
Yeah,
because if you look at the team that they put out, not everybody there is your URC,
yeah.
player. So strangely, so I think they're in a good place. And like you say, I can't argue that because just from these two rounds, it's looking like Bulls Lions, at the end.
Yeah, and it's amazing what some good coaching will do, you know? It's amazing what some
You
good
have
coaching.
to give credit to Mzwakin, because I mean, I'm not a Lions supporter, but Mzwakin, because he's doing the business, man, and they should let him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just to go back to the Bulls, it's the same thing because Johan
Even
Ackerman came
Pure,
in. Yeah, and Johan Ackerman came in and he had to make a decision of, am I going to get my own coaching staff or am I going to keep these guys?
Mm,
And I think
mm.
the decision that he settled on was that he was going to keep these guys. And I think that came out during the week. And then you see a result like this and you feel justified to say that, look at the
Yeah,
guys that I have,
yeah,
they can challenge me, they can throw some good ideas and look what they can do without me.
yeah. And you gotta love that. You gotta love that.
Yeah, moving on. I think let's go Griquas Boland.
Yo,
This one, it was
yo.
just. I
Hey,
don't even. There's not even going to be deep rugby analysis. Yeah, I was just watching for the entertainment and the excitement. The back three
wow.
of the Griquas,
Yeah.
Boland also have a go. Nele, that
Mm.
try of his.
Nwele, hey,
Yeah,
Nwele is looking. Hey,
yeah,
hey.
that he's looking good. So for me, it's just all around great entertainment. It's yeah, it's a nice Sunday game. It's a nice Sunday game. A couple
Yes.
of beers, a couple of beers.
I could. That's what I was also thinking that I was just like, yeah, no, this is Sunday rugby. I was like, no, these are the games we need on a Sunday.
Yeah,
Thinking about the week ahead. It's nice to finish off with a good game like that on a Sunday, man. Like, wow, the entertainment
yeah,
value there was just, yeah, that's what you wanted, Currie Cup. And it's what we know that the Currie Cup will give us. But also, just unlucky for Poland. Greek was at home. Obviously, they were coming with a loss, so they needed, you know, at home to do something,
yeah.
and they came out and they did. They discipline almost cost them though,
Mm.
and the inaccuracies
Abrams
sometimes, and
loves a card. He loves a yellow card. That's Grandma.
you know, so it's one of those things with Poland. Unlucky because at one stage they did get ahead and they just couldn't sustain. You know, but yeah, wow, yeah, what a game, eh? There's some
Yeah,
good players. There's some good players in South African rugby, even at those unions, and it's good to see that guys are getting that exposure. And you want to see more of that. For me, because you want to see guys pushing, for
yeah.
higher honors.
Yeah, for me, where Greek was edged it here was the fact that number one, they were at home. Number two, their set piece was slightly better when it came to
Yes,
scrum time
yes,
and the physical dominance. They were able to edge them there. But again, Poland, they're gonna be in games where they have where they're there or just about when it comes to scrums, where they're there or just about when it comes to lineouts. The
yeah,
rest they can figure it out. They've got players that can, they know how to solve attacking problems. Defense, they're not bad. It,
yes,
it's just as long as they can compete when it comes to scrum time, compete when it comes to lineouts. Even
yes.
going back to
Lineouts and
The
left, yeah,
Sharks game, their lineouts are still a problem. And that's what it'll
yeah,
continue to cause them even more problems when you don't have your set piece and just shows the value of that. And to me, it also shows the quality of the players. It's not easy to scrum
mm,
at this level. It's not easy to compete at lineouts in this level. For them to do that, have that solid base, and be able to play and work off of that quality of
yeah.
players, quality of coaching.
Yes, definitely. And I think also, like you're talking about quality of players, I think there's even what I liked about, especially in the first half about Boland, is that you can see that there's a solid foundation there in terms of the approach. They weren't just trying to, play reckless rugby.
Yeah.
They were playing the percentages. David's for me, he's just he's looking so nice, so comfortable there at 10, in terms of his game management,
Mm.
and they, like you say, if they can, they'll be there and they're about it. If they can just get, their step one level, two level up, they become a very different team. Where a game like that's away from home, they'll be able to sort of, sustain the performance and pull it out. But yeah, they're in a good place, and like you say, good coaching as well, and good and the players, it just looks like everybody there is just, they're on the same page.
Yeah, Gershon Weah, he had a performance. He's a
Yeah,
funny player
because
for me because I feel like sometimes he forces it. He tries to overplay,
yeah, yeah,
but he is. I mean, it was coming off. most of the time in this game. So I mean, he
Mm.
can be happy with himself.
Yeah, yeah, but that back three of the Griquas is deadly electric, man. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. It just how they're able to sort of get them on the front foot, and you give them a half gap once they through, more often than not they'll punish you, So and it's a game I think for the Griquas they had to win,
Yeah,
So they stepped up and they did what they had to do, which is good to see. It's going to make for an interesting sort of as the rounds progress. You can see I think the Griquas will definitely get better. Boland, I expect them to get better with the as well. Hopefully they don't fall away. With the from a personnel perspective. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Moving on, Pumas. Sorry, Cheetahs versus Pumas.
Mm.
Uh, First thing I saw was Verity Arm is back. Nice to see him. He's a Currie Cup legend in and of himself. Uh, Besides that, Cheetahs just had too much. Again, that's the problem
Yeah,
where they're too physical. They're too
too
physical.
strong.
Pumas,
They're
obviously, they're
just
going
too
to be
strong.
enterprising. They're going to do their thing. But when it came down to it, the pack was just, and again, they were slightly more entertaining than what they were when they played Poland.
Yeah, and also another one where they almost this one they had to win,
Yeah,
as well, being at home. So they had to make sure that they lift their intensity. And yeah, like you said, they're just too strong for them, and also they control the game, the tempo that they played with. Pumas were always, going to throw some punches, but yeah, it was just too much. I think some good things here. You can see that, okay, yes, they're still well drilled, well coached, but I think they'll also be disappointed, in that they couldn't sort of back up what
yeah.
they did last week, either the previous week, So it'll be a mixed bag, definitely for them, but certainly they can improve, and I think they'll be looking to do better, especially on the road. I think there's
Yeah,
some of
that's the
these
thing.
teams,
They'll
a lot
be good
of
at
on the
home. They'll be
road.
looking to steal,
Mm,
yeah, something away from home. And
mm, mm.
Cheetahs again, like what I said, the forwards were just they were too dominant in this one. And what's indicative of that is when you see a scrum off scoring, like what is it, 4 tries or something like that.
Four. Yeah, four. It's because it's going through the middle.
Yeah, yeah, because
You
the
know,
the path, the sea has been parted. You're able to
it's
just
open.
yeah. So I mean, he owes the pack a couple of beers there, and we'll
No,
see
it does.
again. Yeah, again, the Cheetahs will see kind of what their level is. It's still early in the tournament, so I guess we're still trying to figure out where
Yeah.
everybody is.
Mm, mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
think we'll still see, especially when they play against, Bulls, Province, Lions. Um,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and that goes into this, which is fixtures for this week. Griquas hosting Province.
Mm.
I've got Griquas to win. I might, put down an Eben Betzer bet, pay me in
Oh
Willem. So
yeah,
I
oh
might
yeah.
put some money on Griquas there. Um, Yeah, I don't think Western Province have enough to get an away win there. Uh,
Mm.
Bulls hosting Pumas
Bulls.
again. Tough one. It's going to be a tough one for Pumas. Bulls will just have too much steel. Sharks are hosting the Cheetahs. Hey man, the Cheetahs could sneak it. I'm not even gonna lie. The Cheetahs, there's an experienced pack. Sekekete and the
Yeah.
boys.
Look, this one I won't even, try and lie to myself. Look, at home, expecting a better performance, definitely,
Yeah.
and to try and get more points on the board. But the Cheetahs, I think they'll have a bit too much for them, and they've historically also been, a bogey team for the Sharks in any case, So it wouldn't be surprising, and at the where they are, and if it's still the kids playing, yeah, it's gonna be a long day.
And then Sunday, there's gonna be another good fixture on Sunday. The Boland
Oh,
hosting the Lions. That
yeah,
one is
no, this
is
one.
that one is for ballers only. For ballers only.
Yeah, no,
It's
this is the Pola. This is Pola, the Bowling Cavaliers, and the former bowlers on a budget. Because you hadn't come up.
I hate that. There's nothing. I
Yeah.
hate that name. I hate that name. Hey, it's
I know, but I'm just saying, notoriously known as. But yeah, it's going to be a cracker. I think that one
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, any closing remarks from you?
No, look, we just look forward to some more fixtures, but just protect the kids. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we protect the kids and looking forward to a big week, Park week next week.
Hmm
Park week
hmm
soon come. Thanks for watching. Thanks
Yeah.
for listening, guys.